Hey everybody, just some guy here. I'm happy to be back, and the last time we chatted it was about fossil fuels and our addiction to them. Today I would like to focus specifically on plastics. And as always, I am not an expert in the following topics, I'm just some guy. So, plastics. Plastics have been used to great effect in the past for storage, transportation, construction, electronics, vehicles, household items, you name it. Almost everything around us has been augmented by plastic in some way. It's a very cheap alternative to traditional building materials. I certainly remember the transitions growing up from plastic is great for everything to don't use plastic for A, B, or C to this plastic is okay, it's non-toxic to now, which pretty much is plastic is poison. Right now, I'm sitting in a chair made almost entirely of plastic. I'm using a webcam that wouldn't exist without plastic. I can go take my car out for a drive without it weighing 1,000 kilograms more. The point I'm trying to make here is that plastics have undeniably pushed along our development at crazy speeds, and we wouldn't be where we are today without it. But now it's time for a splash of cold water. Remember those transitions I mentioned as a kid? Growing up? Well, the reason those happened was because it was becoming more and more apparent over time that this strong, malleable, versatile, abundant product was always toxic. All the nonsense about the BPA free for food and water storage is just nonsense. It's just the latest in the don't worry about it, we'll fix it, trust us BS. So meanwhile, it turns out there is no way to stop the plastic chemicals from leaching into everything it touches. It's continuously contaminating the environment. Unfortunately, this has been going on for too long to just be able to fix. Whatever plastic has leached into the earth and into our bodies is there to stay. As of now, it's estimated that the average North American absorbs roughly 5 grams of plastic a week. That's about the size of a credit card. And this is from ingestion, skin contact, and just breathing. So the first point, ingestion. Bottled water is the number one contributor. It's a liquid that just sits in a toxic shell, absorbing all its yummy chemicals. It's also what you store your food in. You know that handy cling wrap or the Tupperware that you left your food in for a couple days? It's all absorbing these toxins through contact. There is no safe plastic when it comes to food and water. And the second point is skin contact. So take a look at the tags of the clothes you're wearing right now. If your clothes have polyester, nylon, spandex, or acrylic, you're wearing plastic. And your movements, your sweat, your body heat, it all causes the microplastics to be shed into the air and absorbed into the skin. Finally, we have breathing. So these levels vary depending on where you are, but the worst areas are urban and indoors. Urban, obviously, because we're surrounded by pollutants we just can't escape. Indoors, because of synthetic carpets kicking up particulates, the clothes doing the same, the recycled and processed air, the list goes on. But here's the really scary part. I haven't even touched on how this stuff affects our organs. After years of buildup, the lungs, kidneys, liver, gut, and brain are all damaged. There are a lot of long, complicated words to describe that kind of diagnosis, but the bottom line is that it always leads to impaired function. And this is terrifying because not only does it affect our physical state, but also our cognition. The other organs in your body are chugging along, doing their thing without any conscious help from us. And if they are impaired, we find out about it through symptoms. The brain, however, is an entirely different animal. So whatever you believe philosophically or spiritually, for the purpose of this conversation, let's assume that the brain is the only factor in our consciousness. So quick bio about the brain. It runs on electrical impulses. These are called neurons, firing back and forth at supercomputer speeds. Imagine it as a top view of a big city, and the electrical grid is highlighted. There are so many connections and pathways, it's almost impossible to map it all out. But one thing's for certain is that it's all connected. Each light has a relationship with every other light. Now, what do we know about plastic? It isn't found naturally in the body. When micro and nanoplastics make their way past the blood-brain barrier, which is the system in our skull specifically designed to keep out contaminants, suddenly this big, clean, efficient electrical grid is getting some bad weather. And unfortunately, this snow doesn't melt. Instead, it just slowly accumulates. It starts to cause brain inflammation, which, after accumulation grows, causes disruptions between those neurons and leads to neurodegeneration. Think of it as the smooth efficiency of the electrical grid being disrupted, because this bad weather that accumulates is changing the landscape. It becomes misshapen, and the grid has more and more difficulty getting that electricity out on a bumpy road. In layman's terms, this means that it affects memory, attention, mood, cognition, basically everything that makes you, you. Now, if these symptoms sound familiar, it's because they're plaguing our entire society. It's been found that people suffering from Alzheimer's have significantly higher levels of microplastics in their brains. And how about the other end of the age spectrum? Kids are being diagnosed with more and more behavioral issues like ADHD, which, of course, is now also being linked to plastics found in the brain. And kids are also more susceptible to these effects because of their developing immune system. I started out this video by pointing out the life-changing benefits that plastics have provided for the whole world. I think it's important to look at every side of an issue. So this is where we look at the cost-benefit ratio. So on one hand, we have all the benefits from the use of plastics as a tool to grow our civilization. On the other, we're turning into a bunch of brain-damaged fools, twisted and mutilated versions of what we should have been. In my last video, I urged the phrase, evolve or die. Now this always seems to apply, but right now it especially seems more urgent. I think that people as a whole have to start group thinking towards a more sustainable future while we still have the minds to do so. Thanks for watching, and as always, elbows up in unity.